How's this process been for you?
It's been an interesting process. There's been a lot of growing pains, I think, on my part, but it's been like full circle, the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Good. What have you learned through this?
A whole lot. So prior to coming here, I have been through formal training with all 4 of my dogs. Learned a lot from the trainer. They're incredible at what they do and protection work and obedience, but just a different specialty than what you do.
Okay.
And so having an aggressive dog, there's really, a specific toolkit that you need and someone that's capable of teaching you that. And so I feel like I've really been able to understand a lot more dog psychology piece, as well as understanding what I need to do for myself and for my pack to make sure that we can live in harmony and hopefully really live, successfully long term.
What has been the hardest part?
Probably, honestly, this being like a public experience. For those people that know me, I'm not a very public person, and being, I guess, exposed to millions of people, commenting all the time on what you are or aren't doing when they see literally seconds worth of a clip, even though I think collectively we've probably both put in like hundreds of hours into this process, has been difficult. But a big part of the learning was I wanted to be vulnerable. I wanted people to be able to learn from my experience and for people to know they're not alone. There's a large problem, in the US in particular and around the world with dogs that are aggressive for whatever reason, for whatever their history, whether it's genetics, whatever it is. And the only option for a lot of people is putting the dog down, or they put him in the shelter system, which is completely overwhelmed. And it puts, other good dogs that are vulnerable. And I wanted to be and hopefully be an asset to the rest of the community and learn from my mistakes, and also just not feel alone in the process.
I think the fact that you agreed to letting it be public and open was huge, because like you said, it's a big learning experience, and you are vulnerable. You are opening up your personal life to scrutiny. What always gets me is the judgmentalness of everything. I'll be honest, this is one of the tougher cases for me. Like, I actually kind of started doubting myself because of all the negative comments, especially from some of those youthful trainers. And despite the years of experience that I have, there was times that I kind of doubted myself. And as you had mentioned, you kind of doubted the process too.
Yeah, multiple times. You're being kind. There's a bunch of mean girls, and there's a bunch of dudes that are just being dicks through the process too. And it's like, it's not easy when you're learning anything to not make mistakes, and that's part of the process, I think.
What I found intriguing is, there was men that said some stupid comments, but the majority were women that were just on you about, you can't do it, you're not this, you're not that, you're not alpha enough, you're not confident enough. And that's what really just pissed me off, because it's like, you're learning and you're on camera. Of course you're not confident looking. But why do you think it was the women? Why do you think the women are so judgmental in those moments?
Well, going back before I answer that question is, I am one of the most awkward people, especially on camera. So not only learning when you're fumbling your way through and trying to learn new techniques, but I am just super awkward. And it was hilarious to look at some of the comments, which after a while I just stopped, because it was too much and it was too time consuming, and I have better things to do with my life and give back to my community. So like, why am I going to give these people their time? But a female that we'll just leave it at a pretty high ranking in the public safety community, I see it all the time. I've experienced it a lot in my career, and for whatever reason, it's so frustrating, because when women come together, I mean, they really can be so strong and incredible, but we tend to just tear each other apart, and it's really unfortunate. There's a lot of psychological theory behind that, but for whatever reason, I think the anonymity of social media brings out the worst in people. Although I do have to say, I'm so thankful and appreciative of people that shared similar experiences or were just positive through the process.
That makes a big difference.
Those were sometimes like the only times that there were like a distinct 2 or 3 times where I was like, I'm just going to quit this process. Like, it's not worth it. But I would see some of those people, and then you told me a lot of people like messaged you like directly and just spoke to having a similar experience and how appreciative they were. And like, that's, you know, kind of what kept me going. And I'm also, I mean, I'm known in my personal life for being, you know, a risk taker and just like trying to be fearless about things. And so at the end of the day, I was like, okay, like, don't let a bunch of people that are insecure themselves and have nothing better to do with their time. Like, this is something that I want to do to make sure that my dog, regardless of where he ends up, is still alive, and that I am as well. And hopefully that we're both better on the other side of this. So besides just like the general negativity, when people have talked about, oh, like needing to be selfless and doing what's best for the dog, and all these like constant, you know, comments about rehoming him, like, they don't know his history. They have no idea that I adopted him, that his family had probably spent 6 months before I adopted him trying to find a home for him, trying to find a situation where he could live in a way that was compatible with his humans and if he was with any other animals. And nobody took him, and he was too dangerous. We know he's bitten at least 4 different people. And so for people to think like, oh, I'm just doing this selfishly for him to come back to my pack, that's not it. We've talked so many times about, like, he's gonna go where the best place is for him.
Yeah.
And that was really frustrating. And I know that wasn't like shared, and his history hasn't really been shared extensively, but that was like frustrating to like constantly have people like tell me that, or both of us really, that we're like being selfish about how we're training or handling him. And that's just really not accurate.
You know, I think this needs to be a lesson for people, you know, especially you guys that were negative online, that your negativity almost caused this dog to lose, get mom to quit. And then what? Get put down? Quite possibly. That negativity that you guys spew, the negativity online is just astronomical. And it was so prevalent today, or this, you know, this time around, even with Woo's mom too. Y'all got to do better, man. It's like we need to support each other. We need to support each other. We need to be there for each other. We got to stop this negativity that's been happening in society today. You see an owner here who loves her dog and her family, and however she ended up here, this is where she's at. And to critique her and to be negative about it and to cloak that in this like almost righteous indignation that the people have, I guess. I don't know if that's the right term, but like, you guys are superior to her, and it's wrong. And I would like to see that changed. I mean, you literally, a guy like me who has been doing this for years, have worked so many dogs. You got me to doubt myself for a minute there. It doesn't happen often. I'm arrogant. It doesn't happen often, but you did. You got me to doubt myself. And that's sad. But I got to give you credit. You know, you took this on, you know, and you're still taking it on, you know, and we're working through everything. But you've been a trooper through this whole thing. Your dedication to him is bar none. It's very impressive. And I'm glad that we had that opportunity to do our best to set you up for success and set him up for success. And, you know, I just hope that, you know, it continues to go down that road. And it's a way of life that we're teaching. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would call it dog training, but realistically it's relationship building. It's changing how you see your pack so that we don't end up in these situations again. And then whatever dogs you get next, you apply these same rules, you should get the same results. So anything else you want to add?
I think one of the other, just addressing a negative comment, is the fact that you are taking advantage of me, which I feel like was bullshit, and that's probably as G-rated as I could be with it. As someone who has done training before, and anyone that has participated in training, it's expensive, but it's like, what value are you placing on your time and money? And you've been so selfless. Like, you have kept him for months. You've allowed me to come out and work him by myself, work him with your other trainers, and the return on investment that I have gotten, you know, far exceeds what I ever, you know, actually paid you for. And people just need to be cognizant also of their comments. Like, it's not just about being like hurtful. It's, you know, it's defamation really at the end of the day.
It is.
And this is a really unique training program, and it's a process that you have to be willing to invest in. And I hope that other people will consider the investment, but again, don't make judgments when you have really no idea what's going on.
Yeah. No, that's a good thing you pointed out, because it was hurtful, and but at the same time expected from people. You know.
Yeah.
People just they judge without thinking. They judge without knowledge, and maybe they're using a little bit of you know, what's the term I want to say? Their own ethical, right? It's their own ethics there. Maybe that's what they would be doing.
Yeah, I just think social media, unfortunately, is an easy platform for dissension and for being just mean to be mean.
Yep.
And I know at the end of the day, those people really lack self-esteem.
Yeah.
And they lack true relationship and connection, because if you really had that in your heart, you would never try and pick apart you, me, Odin, this entire process.
Yeah.
You would either, you know, what's the saying? Like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. You would either do that or be a cheerleader. And I mean, I'm not opposed to having negative views. As, you know, someone that was in academics for a long period of time, like, that's my whole world, is to be critical, to tear apart theory to find truth. And I'm not opposed to that. It's that mean aspect. It's like the knife and twisting it. Like, that's not what's necessary. Like, I mean, we've had words where it was like, yeah, there's part of the critical process of learning, and that's fine. It's when you're tearing people down for no reason, it's just so unnecessary.
It's really done to build themselves up.
It is.
You know, like, I've noticed that with a lot of trainers too, is they do it to make themselves feel important, feel relevant, because they're not out doing this work.
Yeah.
You know, and I know we as trainers need to change that thought process and the temperature that's happening out there in society today.
Yeah.
It's gonna take time though.
It is. But we just work through it, and that's ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about his life. You know, it's about Bodhi's life. He's a rescue as well.
Yep.
And it's making sure that, you know, they're successful, and that's what your job is. That's what my job is, to make sure that they're successful, they're fulfilled, and they have the best life that they can have. And it's been worth, you know, every penny and every hour and mile I've been on the highway.
Well, you've done, you know, what you've done is in this process is you've shown, again, great vulnerability, but you've shown the process that it takes, you know, to go through this. But you've shown what being a true dog owner is about. Yeah, did you make mistakes? Sure, we all do, right? Even as a professional dog trainer, I make mistakes. But it's how we recover from those mistakes and how we move on. That's what makes you a true dog owner, a true dog person. Everybody else, dog lovers.
Yep.
Right? Dog owners see their mistake, ask for help, do what's required of them, and don't give up. And you did that, and you've shown that. And that's way beyond what any of these other people would have done. So for that, man, I give you absolute credit.
Oh, well, thank you. It's, you know, it's about being the best person that you can be and giving the best life that you can to your animals. And what people don't realize, it's not pup cups, it's not going to dog parks. It's about fulfilling them, making sure that they have structure. And, you know, while I think I had a decent skill set coming in, and had, you know, some experience with big dogs, power breeds, you know, he was a little bit of an advanced dog. And then, you know, bringing Bodhi in,
Get him some water.
you know, didn't help. But we all make mistakes. You want some
It's
water?
all right. It's how we recover from them.
Yeah.